Welcome back, my dear brothers and sisters, to part 3 of Sarah's story. Today, we continue Sarah's journey in the canyon between worlds as she discovers that some encounters are destined long before we arrive at them. The second morning in the canyon arrives with golden light filtering through the fruit trees. Sarah wakes feeling different, not just rested, but curious. Yesterday, she had chosen trust over fear, acceptance over panic. Today, that choice has grown into something stronger, a genuine desire to understand this place where she has found herself. After a simple breakfast of fruit from her garden and bread she found in the little house, Sarah feels drawn to explore. The well worn path that led her here yesterday continues deeper into the canyon, and something whispers to her soul, follow it. She gathers a small bag with water and some fruit, locks the door of her temporary home, and sets off down the winding path. The canyon revealed itself to be far more beautiful than she had imagined from above. Wildflowers cascade down the walls in shining purples and yellows. Fruit trees she doesn't recognize offer their bounty freely. But she's never seen before call to each other in melodies that seem almost like conversations. A family of deer watches her pass, unafraid, as if visitors on this path are nothing unusual. Butterflies dance around her as she walks, and the small creek that runs alongside the path babbles its own mysterious language. The further she walks, the more she realizes this is not a place of punishment or failure. This is a place of preparation, of healing, of becoming. Wow. Sarah comes around a bend and stops in wonder. There, nestled into a natural alcove in the canyon wall, sits another house. This one is larger than hers, with a sprawling garden that seems to blend seamlessly into the wild beauty around it. Vegetables grow in artistic spirals. Fruit trees provide natural aquays, and flowers create living rainbows throughout the space. And there, sitting peacefully on a simple wooden bench among the tomatoes and roses, is an old man. He looks up as she approaches. His face breaks into the warmest smile she's ever seen. Hello, Sarah, he says, as naturally as if they have known each other for years. I have been waiting for you. Please come in. Sarah hesitates at the garden gate. Part of her, the part that still remembers the world of scarcity, whispers warning. How does he know your name? This could be dangerous. You should run. But a deeper part of her, the part that chose to jump across the canyon in the first place, recognizes something in his presence. Not threat, but wisdom, safety, a kind of knowing that feels both profound and immediate. Please, he says again, gesturing to a simple wooden table, shaded by grapevines heavy with the fruit. Sit with me. You must have questions. Sarah approaches slowly, accepts the chair of he offers, and watches as he pours tea from a clay pot that seems to have been waiting just for this moment. I am Genaro, he says simply, setting across from her with his own cup. I'm Sarah, she begins, then catches herself. But you already knew that. He nods, smiling. I did indeed. Wow. Sarah takes a sip of the herbal tea and gathers her courage. How did you know I was coming? And where am I exactly? I mean, I know I'm the canyon, but this place feels different from what I expected. The old man, who introduces himself as Genaro, sets down his own cup and looks at her with gentle, knowing eyes. Ah, Sarah, he says, we know we on the abandoned side. We watch not to interfere, mind you, that won't serve anyone's growth, but we observe those on the other side carefully. We saw your anger, your depression, your desperation. We could read your thoughts as they turned more and more towards the possibility of crossing over to our world. He turns to a nearby tomato plant as he speaks. His movements deliberate and peacefully. You see, when someone begins to truly contemplate living that world of scarcity, not just daydreaming, but genuinely preparing their soul of transformation, we know and we prepare. But how is it possible I survived the fall? Sarah asks. Everyone said it was certain death. Genaro chuckled softly. People who jump in good faith with genuine desire for transformation, for growth, for escape from the prison of scarcity thinking, they survive. Always, most, like you land here in the canyon. Some few make it directly to the abundance side. His expression grows more serious. But there are others, Sarah, many others who attempt the crossing with different intentions. Those who come in bad faith, seeking to steal, to destroy, only to take without a desire to give. They never make it. What happens to them? We learned the hard way that we must protect ourselves. Genaro says, his voice carrying the weight of experience. God made this world home to both good people and bad people. That's how choice becomes real. But if you want to survive in kindness, you must set boundaries. You must find ways to keep people with bad hearts and toxic energy out of your life. He gets us towards the narrow point of the canyon because the canyon is so narrow at that crossing point. We choose this method to secure our side without closing it off completely. We created an energy field that repels those with destructive intentions. They fall into the middle of the canyon, straight down into the river where the rocks wait beneath the water. Sarah shivers slightly, understanding now why the warning above was so dear. They weren't entirely wrong, just incomplete. The jump was indeed deadly for most. Genaro refills her cup and settles back into his chair. His next question comes gently, but Sarah can't feel its weight. Now, I must ask you something. Dear child, what happened to you? What drove you to decide to leave your old life, your family, your friends, everything familiar, to leap into a known world with what seemed like such a high probability of failure and death? Sarah feels her breath catch. The question touches something deep and painful, something she's been avoiding even in her own thoughts. She begins, then stops. The blank journal back in her house suddenly makes sense. This is the story she needs to tell. First to Genaro, then to herself. Genaro waits patiently, trending his plans, giving her all the time she needs to find her words. The silence stretches between them, but it's not comfortable. Genaro continues his gentle work in the garden, pruning here, watering there, as if giving Sarah's soul time to prepare of what she wants to emerge. Finally, she speaks. Most people would say I had a good life on that side. She began slowly. I had a wealth friend who provided for me. I never lacked for anything. I could even take care of my mother's needs. Genaro nods encouragingly, but doesn't interrupt. But then I found out I was pregnant. Her voice becomes softer and more vulnerable. I was happy about it, truly happy. But when I told my friend, he went crazy. He demanded I go to a hospital immediately and have an abortion. Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she holds her cup tea. I was in despair, so I went to my mother for advice, hoping for support. But she became furious with me. She said I had to follow my friend's demands. Her exact words were, and what do you think I should eat when you can't support me anymore? Sarah takes a shaky breath before continuing. I cried for days, hiding from everyone. But then something extraordinary began to happen. I started having dreams, conversation with my son to be. I had decided to call him David. Her voice grows stronger as she speaks in this. In these dreams, David would ask me, what do you want here? I know there is another side where people are kind and helpful. Maybe they have less than the rich and famous on this side, but they appreciate each other. Let's go there. Genaro stops his gardening completely now, giving Sarah his full attention. Those dreams made me curious about the other side. I started searching until I found this place where the canyon is narrow. I came back several times, watching the people over there, trying to understand what that world was really like. But you weren't alone in your searching, Genaro observes gently. No, Sarah's voice drops. I began to notice shadowy figures following me, trying to control my movements. They were watching, making sure I didn't stray too far from the accepted path. One night, Sarah continues, her voice growing stronger. I left my phone at home so my watchers would think I was sleeping. And I slipped out. I went back to the canyon, thinking about crossing, but still hesitating. I stood at the edge, yearning for the other side, but lacking courage. She paused, touching her belly gently. That's when David spoke to me again. He said, what do you want here? This is a place for you. This is not a place for you. And it's not a place for me. They demand that you kill me. They threaten you with everything they have. Let's pass over to the other side. There is no place for us here. Her eyes filled with tears, but they are not tears of sadness. So I took my heart in my hands, went back a few steps to get momentum, and then I ran and jumped for both of us. Genaro sits down. He's pruning shears and gives Sarah his full attention. And that, dear child, is precisely why you both survived the jump. You didn't jump to escape responsibility or take from others. You jumped to protect life, to choose love over fear, to refuse a world that demands you destroy what you most treasure. He pauses again, letting this sink in. Our protection recognizes that intention. We support those who jump towards abundance, not for selfish gain, but to preserve and nurture what is sacred. Sarah feels something shifting inside her, a recognition of truth that makes her place a protective hand over her belly. David is still with you, Genaro says softly. This canyon, this place of transformation, it's safe for both of you. Here, life is celebrated, not threatened. I live here with my wife, Genaro says simply. She's a healer. Tomorrow, she will be going out to find herbs that she says at the market in the abundance land proper. He looks at Sarah with a gentle invitation in his eyes. Would you like to accompany her tomorrow while she gathers these herbs? She can pick you up at your house in the morning, and together you can explore the canyon. It would give you a chance to see and learn more about this place between the worlds. Sarah feels a spark of curiosity and gratitude. I would like that very much. Good. Genaro nods with a warm smile. As Sarah walks back along the familiar path to her little house, she carries with her something she hasn't felt in years: hope. Not the desperate hope of something trying to escape, but the quiet confidence of something who has found her way home. Back in the house, Sarah moves through the familiar rhyme of preparing an evening meal. She gathers vegetables from her garden, tends to some small task around the house, all while letting her thoughts wander freely through everything Genaro had shared with her. The protection system, the watching from above, the distinction between good faith and bad faith. It all swirls in her mind as she works with her hands. As the evening light grows softer, she finds herself drawn to the black journal on the table. For the first time since finding it, she doesn't feel afraid of its empty pages. She sits down, picks up one of the pencils, and after a moment of thought, begins to write. Her handwriting is carefully deliberate. She writes two questions. The first question: isn't it overly brutal to let all the bad faith people who try to cross the canyon at that narrow point fall into the middle of the canyon and die? Second point: isn't there a better solution to protect? She pauses, her pencil hovering over the page as she thinks of her own mother. Alone now in that world of scarcity, then she continues writing the second question: what will my mother do now without me and without my support? Sarah sets down the pencil and looks at these two questions on the page. They represent the weight she still carries, concerns for justice, and concerns for those she left behind. Later, lying in her warm bed, Sarah allows the day to pass through her mind again. They walk through the canyon, meeting Genaro, learning about the protection, sharing her story. So much has happened since she first opened her eyes in this place. Gently, she places her hand on her belly and speaks softly into the quiet night. David, she whispers, how are you feeling now after these days of dangers, surprises, and decisions? In the peaceful silence of her small house, she waits to hear what her son might say. Tonight, she will rest in the knowledge that her jump wasn't a failure or an accident. It, it was the first chapter of her really life. This is Eve, reminding you that every expert was once a beginner, and every master was once a disaster. Your path is valid. Your soul knows the way, and your next step is waiting for your courage. Thank you for listening to Sarah's story. What brave jump is your soul calling you to make? Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Until next time, keep growing, keep believing, and keep trusting the path your heart knows is yours.